Hey everybody, David R. Becker here with Becker Art, and I'm in Grand Marais, Minnesota. But unfortunately, I don't have I was going to be outside and do a plein air, but I don't have anything to hold my camera. And so I was like, shoot, I want because I was going to do the scene here of the world's famous donuts in Grand Marais. And it's early in the morning. I went over there, right, setting all up. Ended up that they don't I don't have something to hold my camera. So we're doing it inside, unfortunately. But it's gonna be just the same as I would paint it out there, I guess. But I'm kind of disappointed that it wouldn't be able to go out there. And I didn't have a holder for my phone, which I forgot to bring. And so we're doing it inside. And if anybody's watching, I'm not sure because I just kind of did this last minute, and but we're gonna get going. And so, if you look up on this scene, the sun is in the shot. So I'm gonna put it right in here. And I know the lighting here is really kind of not that great, but this is all I have. So we're gonna have to deal with this. Oop. And so we're gonna put the sun right about there, and that way all the shadowing and stuff will be from that point. All right, so let's just go in here. And if you have any questions, either put them in the chat or after the video, you can put them into the descriptions or the comments. I mean, the comments, you can put them in the comments. Oh, another thing, I'm working on a canvas panel. This is just a canvas panel. I had bought this canvas panel. I think this is from Walmart. So I was just going to try to see how these work. I worked with them in my classes, and I kind of like them, and it's not bad at all. Now they're not. I don't put a gesso coat on them. I just kind of go with it what I have right here, and so we're going to see how they work. I've used them the last couple of days plein air outside. I was in Duluth, Minnesota, and I did two paintings yesterday, and they worked fine. I think they even are kind of neat because they soften themselves when you put down the water. And so I'm going to put down water in the sky. Again, this is a canvas panel. I didn't prep it either. I didn't prep anything on it. It's just the way it is. I just put my pencil lines in there. Of course, we're going to get a lot of reflections in here, but there's nothing I can do about that. Sorry, guys. It's one of those days where either I do it or I don't do it, and then you're going to not see it. But here you may have a few little problems with shininess and, and stuff like that, but we'll deal with it. All right, so I'm going to go with more of a white. I'm going to take white, pure white, a little yellow in it, and the white. And then I'm just going to start out with the round circle. So the sun is right here. It's going to go from a yellow to an orange, and very light though. I mean, very, very light. And I can kind of see it there. Let me suck this up here, this water right here. I'm going to suck up a little bit. And when it comes to this canvas panel, and hopefully you guys can hear me okay, but this is the canvas panel kind of softens the edges really easily. And it's really an easy way of because I can not only do I use a little bit more pigment, and I'm just going to go from a yellow to an orangey flesh tone to a kind of blue, and there's going to be a little bit of green in it too. You see the pencil line on this board though will kind of affect the colors because I didn't there's a lot of, see how it gets gray, the water gets kind of gray because I'm using a pencil and it's coming up the texture, which is fine, it's all good. If you have questions, please let me know. Hey guys, there's actually somebody up. Do I do coffee instead of beer? I would, but I didn't get down to the thing yet because I was out there sketching this on the spot, and then I came back because I realized I couldn't do it outside and show you. So I came back in, and I haven't had, so all I have right now is a little bit of Propel. So cheers, everybody. It's been a long morning already. All right. Oh, this is starting to dry, so I got to get in there and hold on. I gotta see my. All right, so let's get a little bit of the blue. I'm taking a little bit of verdict blue, put it over here. And with the canvas, it really soaks in a little bit really nicely. And I'm not sure what they use for their gesso, but it seems to work really well with this, with watercolor and gouache. I'm using watercolor and gouache. And put a little bit of blue over here too. I make it really bright. And I'm sorry about the lighting. It's just, there's nothing I can do about it. If I turn it off, it'll be too dark, right? Oh yeah. Oh no. Hey, we'll do that. We'll just turn it off. So my face is really dark. Let's see if I put it a little bit farther away. That'll work. Yeah, when you have the lighting so close, it just messes with the camera. It bubbles a little bit too when you're putting the water on here like this, so it bubbles. So, and when I do the sky, I go right into the buildings because that way they're gonna be darker later, right? And so you just kind of go with that. And then down here, go a little bit blue. When you put the sun into the scene, that is the whitest white. So everything else beyond that is not going to be white. So just keep that part white, and everything else has to have a color on it. If I'm out there, I'm doing the same thing, but look at the dirt from the graphite. Makes it kind of dirty. Let me lift this up a little bit, that way you can see it better. See how smooth it gets? It gets really smooth on this paper, on the canvas, I mean. I kind of like that. And there's a picture up in the corner, up here. Where's my hand? Oh, there it is, up there. There's the picture. And so that's the lightest light, right? And I'm just going to leave it really light sky like that. And it seems like it needs a little bit warmer blue up there too. So I'm going to take my blue here. This is violet. Let me take some horizon blue. It's kind of a bluish green though. I have so much dirt on it. See, when you're putting it on, see how it is kind of running? So as it's running, though, if you just push it around a little bit, it'll soften up on its own. Go right into the buildings. A little bit of this blue again, and then just as long as the other parts are wet, they will float together and they'll become very, very soft. And look into the picture to also and see where else you can use this blue while it's wet or while it's even dry. So now the ground, I might as well put this right into the building here too. Just put it right into the building. It's gonna be darker. And again, if I'm doing this outside, I'm doing it no different than I'm doing it right now. I'm painting it the same way outside. That's one of those things. When I paint the same. I do the same process. It's no different than when I'm outside or inside. It's just that, and I also work a little bit more upright when I'm outside. More like, not laying flat like this. Actually, I've got this on an angle a little bit, so it is washing down a little bit. Now let's do this big street part, and there's a little warmth right there, so I'm gonna put a little orange right there. And I'm actually having a hard time seeing my colors in here because it is kind of dark in here. But knowing your colors, from always painting, you kind of know what your colors are, so it shouldn't be too much of a stretch if you. One thing when you're in the sun, watch out. If you're in the sun and you're painting, it washes the colors out, and so you really can't see the colors. So never work outside with when you're in the direct sunlight. Try to get out of the direct sunlight. It's just not a good thing to do any kind of direct sunlight out when you're with painting outside. Now I may put these white stripes across the street. They're not there, but I would like to put those crosswalks in. I just find them to be cool to put the crosswalk in that way. Now this is kind of dirty, gray. So yesterday when I was out there, I started realizing that I don't use enough grays in my work, and that I'm going to start using a little bit more grays and try to get the grays of the landscape because there is so much gray out there that you don't realize. And so how do you mix your grays? You take your two complements, put them together, and that either gives you a gray or a brown, usually. And since I'm working on canvas, I can rub these crosswalks out really easily. Real easily. I can wipe them out. So there's a little bit of red in the street, warmth because the sun is warm, right? The sun is coming up and it's warm, shining right in my eyes. And so I want that to be that bright. And you can see very lightly right there in the middle, there is just the pure white, but it could have gotten a little bit darker, I think, but too late now. I still have to wash this out here a little bit. Oh, that's not good. That's not a good color. See how, and it's hard to get kind of a watermark on the canvas because it kind of really blends in really easily. Which before I think I used to use some of these canvas panels, and I always remember them being like everything would float on top, but these are not doing that. Lately, all the ones I'm buying, and they're pretty cheap at like Walmart. There's like you get them for like $1.50 a piece. And this size is 12 by 16, I think, or 11 by 14. Right? Yeah, 11 by 14. This one's 11 by 14. And so as I'm going down here, I gotta get a little bit warmer. Take some orange. Put some orange in here. And look at how it just blends all together, all smooth. It's smoothing itself out really easily. Next week is when the Grand Marais happens, and I may go out there and paint this. I'm not sure. I may paint this exact scene again because this is the world famous donut shop in Grand Marais. It's supposed to be super super great donuts. I've had them a couple of times. I'm not really into that kind of donut, but I'm just basically Dunkin' Donut kind of guy. These are those donuts that are more, what do you call it? More dough in them? I don't know. More like a pastry than a fluffy donut. But there's always people standing in line. I was there this morning, they were already standing in line, and I guess they run out after a certain point. But yeah, it's supposed to be a really good donut. I'm doing the big street here. I'm just trying to get the big street kind of washed in. And this is the shadow part, so I definitely want to make this a little bit darker, and I want to make this bluer. Let's get a little bit of blue and violet over here. These are my lights. Again, I'm going through my middle tones and lights. Even though it's a shadow, I'm trying to, it should be darker actually if it's going to be, let's go into my middle tones. I got pretty much got my lights, right? Pretty much got my lights all done. I'm going to kind of go in here now and try to get some of the middle tones. Let's go a little bit more orange in here. You notice I'm painting through everything. I'm not painting pieces. I'm painting the whole foreground and trying to get it all soft edged. And if there's a little bit of hard edge, I try to put a little bit into a little bit, not a real lot of it. The details, like of the shadows here, let's see, maybe I can put some of that in there. I don't have all my brushes. For some reason, I lost them somewhere. Here's a little bit of violet. And so let's just put in some of these darks, the larger darks. You can do a pretty good, nice soft edge while it's still a little wet like this. That's an ugly color right there if you ever seen it. Whoa. So let's That's a little bit getting too detailed too early. I just want to see. Oh wait, did I have my? Oh no, my brush is better. Hold on, I have some more brushes here. Okay, there we go. There's mine. Flat. There is my half-inch flat. A little bit smaller flat. I didn't want to use a big one to get smaller areas. And the building is basically, I remember, is more red, a dark red. So I'm just going to go in here and get a dark red. That's quinacridone. With my light red. So the tree is green, the building is red. The windows are going to be light or dark, dark inside, so I can cross right over it. Get a little bit darker here. There's a big mural right there. I can just worry about that later. I worry about things later, like because I'm trying to get the big washes first. The side of the building there, it is also really dark red. And when I say red, it's almost going to be like a dark alizarin, really dark kind of color. Because really you don't see it when the sun is shining in your eyes. The colors of things kind of blend away. There's a car here that is white. So let's just do the street again here. Now I'm going a little bit darker because I want to get this look of the shadowing. Because this house is shadowing everything that's in front of it. So I'm just going to worry about that because they'll be darker than those people will be darker. And I mix a little bit of cool and warm together. Right away into the tires. Right away into the street. And a lot of times don't think a lot about the actual color. I look for the values a lot. I'm always looking for values, and though I should be, that's what I was saying yesterday. I was really worried about, I was getting everything too bright a color. And so I decided that I'm going to start doing more grays, trying to figure out more of my grays. Now these curbs are orange and yellow because they're like, that's the color they are, basically. Curb goes all the way to here, then goes around. Let's do this house right over here. But you can't see it so well, can you? So this house is just going to be like a lavender, basically. I'll paint around the windows, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, let's just go right through, and then later on I'll pick up the windows. Big areas. Always remember, big areas first. And then you can either rub out or use white paint, like gouache, to get the look of the cars in front of it. Same thing with these cars right here. And actually I made these too big. Well, there's a truck. Let's just say that's the big truck over there. In front, there's a big truck. And now since the sun is right there, those should be very orange. So that because the sun is hitting right here. So make that area, anything in this area should be first off orange. Let's make these cars a little bit bigger too. And see this side I'm making a little bit more orange. Anything closer to the sun, make that orange, and that way it looks like it's closer to the sun, like it's hitting that area. I haven't looked to see any questions. Sorry, guys. How do you keep from getting green in the sky with the yellow and blue? Well, when you're putting it down, you notice how I just put the yellow to a certain point and I let it bleed to light, and then I went back with the blue. Let's see, how can I get this to, there we go. And so then the blue just automatically goes in there and doesn't, it should be a little green anyways. There's a little green in the sky, so that's okay to get it a little bit in there, but don't don't worry too much, but let the water bleed itself together. See how the orange and yellow or the yellow and blue kind of go together, but there's not that much. Yeah, it's not gonna do anything. All right, so there's some soft edges because it's still wet, and it stays wet a little bit longer than your paper, but it's pretty fun to work on. Do we do cut? Okay, let's see. Let's just see if there's any more questions. There's a lot of questions. Good morning, Mary Beth. Hey, Will. David, I was looking for the reference image link. The one in the description is from Thursday. Oh yeah, that's from Thursday. Because I just really did this really quickly, so there is no photo for this one. This is more of a day paint or demo with David. So you have to just take it from my screenshot here. What I'll do is I'll put it into the comments or into the, yeah, I'll put it into the thing. I'll make a link later on because you can have, this is my photo that I took a bit afterwards. So I'll put that in there later on. No, I just hate that you can't see this. This is like terrible. Mm. Sorry, guys. All right, let's see if I'm going. Otherwise, I'm not going to get this done. Some grays on the roof. Do the roofs on both these buildings, and they're going to be, again, I start with orange on the side. This is still wet, so that's going to give me a soft edge, so I'm going to make my paint a little bit thicker. So it's going to be kind of orangey. Yeah, when I have water down here and I want to make it thicker, the pigment, I just use pure pigment, no water, my brush, and I go in there with a lot of pigment, and then just let it, it's almost like I'm doing oil then because I'm putting it on pretty thick. But it's still going to wash out a little bit because there is water on here, so it smooths out, it still smooths itself out, which is actually kind of interesting and neat. I was trying to do different things to show you guys different ways of painting on different surfaces. And this is canvas, and so if you learn from me how to apply your paint into water, then there's no problems with any surface because the surfaces will work just fine. It's every time when you're trying it, you just have to see how much water you need and what it does when you're putting it down, and will it bleed really far? How much paint do you need in your brush? How much water you gotta have in your brush? Because you can't have a lot of water everywhere. See, this is pretty thick right there, and so when I'm putting it down, when it's thick, it just will not bleed very far. It'll stay right where it's at. Let me show you a really dark color. So I'll take like black right here and I put a little black right there. And see if it's thick. I don't pick up, I'm not putting in the water. I just having like really thick because the water's on the canvas right now. So I just have to worry about that. That the canvas is wet and I can just use it thick. This is a dark window. And there's some dark windows back there. These stupid advertisings in this. Okay. And then what else do we have here? So now let's do the tree. We're gonna do the tree, and look at how this is really blending together nicely. There, that's a little bit better. Now we're gonna go with some dark green but the orange is gonna be in the part of the tree that makes it brown right here. And so I'm gonna go the outer edge. I'm taking my 1/4 inch brush. I'm doing the outer edge of this tree. And it just has to be dark. And if you're doing this black and white, doing like a value study, then this corner can be nice, and this is by the sun, so this can be a little bit more orangey. Even if it's green, it doesn't matter because the sun is so bright, it's taking over. Now I get some blue and some cracked gold here. That'll make myself a nice green. That's the blue, I think. And so here's a pretty dark green. And I'm going to keep some of these holes that you can see through the tree. And now I do the David nervous twitch, brush stroke. So like pretend like you're really nervous and then they're shaking like this. And just go down and hit the canvas or paper or whatever you're using. And then just kind of get in there. And this one right now is actually very thick. And this is pretty much dry. So I'm getting a more of a dry brush kind of look, which is fine. So then what I'll do is I'll put a little water in there too. Let it again bleed. Let it go and bleed a little bit. And I'm going to make that a little bit darker. Add a little bit of black to it. And I mean, look at the tree. There's a lot of little holes that break it through, and you can see the sky behind it. You can also put them in later with gouache. I like to do that a lot, actually. That kind of looks cool when you're doing that. In this part, I'm putting more water in so that it kind of floats and gives it its own soft edges. The outer edges should be hard on this one now. Again, I'm still like shaking. I'm still just like this, so it gives it a little shake. A little bit of more blue, black. And see how this edge is a little bit more warm? Because again, the sun is right there, so it's sitting there. And on the back end over here, that's going to be really dark. And if it's dry over here, I can use less pigment. But I like it to run, and then I gotta remember that I gotta put the branches going down. And a lot of times we feel like we shouldn't cover up things, but go ahead and cover those things up because the tree's in front of it, and might as well just cover that up. It looks more real when you do that. Right now, my small round brush, I'm gonna make a brown, and I make my brown with purple. Purple over here, purple and orange. I'll have a nice dark brown. And really this back behind there shouldn't be that light, and so I need to cool that down first. Take a little lavender. That's always my to-go-to color is lavender, because let's go in there and I'm just gonna go right over the bushes I just made. Right over this guy, right over this building. Now the sign is white, and so, but it's in shadow, so it's not going to be white. It'll be a little bit darker, like blue and lavender. Or gray, gray on gray. I use this color called gray on gray. That's really nice to use. Like I don't have to mix a gray at all. I just use it. There are a lot of artists out there that do that. They have a grays in their palettes, so like neutral tint and stuff like that, where they just then use it for their grays. There's a garbage can. What color are those garbage cans again? I think they're blue garbage cans. So I can just make it blue if it's not. Put red. Put a little color somewhere else. See, I'm not doing detail yet. I guess the garbage can is kind of detailed. I'm gonna put a little reflection of that blue into the street. Not that even if it's not wet, it doesn't matter. You can still put reflections into the streets. All right, and so basically we're gonna go for detail now. So we got all my middle tones and darks pretty much. The tree is the only dark. And then the shadowing, I'll maybe do another shadow there. Let's do the side of this car here a little bit. Reflects. I'm not getting too detailed with it so that it's like you can tell exactly which car it is, or just enough to know that it is a car. That's fine. Oh, something just happened. What is it? Let's see. No more questions? No. What time is it? How much time do I have? 9 o'clock. Okay, so half an hour. Oh, you really can't see that, can you? See? Because the sky looks really white right there, but it's a little bit of, there's a little bit of yellow to blue there. Once I get, I think, these details in there, it'll start getting a little bit better. But this trunkins of the tree. Windows there. Let's get over on this side and work our way over, like from this side over that way. And for those windows, and actually it's not really dark enough this side right here, so I'm gonna put a little, actually it is. It just doesn't look really dark over here. See, it's actually darker than it seems, but the light is so close. What if I put that light straight above us? One thing, it comes off really easily, so if I want to get these windows back and light, watch how easy this is. Little bit of water, and look at, boom, they're right back again. Because it's canvas and it's not soaking in too much, so it lays on more on top. So you can just take the water, re-wet it, and boy, it comes right up. Suck it into my brush. So there's the windows, and the windows will reflect the sky. So later on, I could put the color of the sky in there. Now a little bit darker. Now I'm hoping this takes a while to get dry. Boy, oh boy. So now I'm gonna put in these cars. Just the basic shape of the car. I'm not gonna go really detailed with it. See, each car, and then the back is light, lit up, and the tires are always dark, and the shadow of the tires. So you're just gesturing. You're gesturing the tires and the back of the car. And then I'm going to put like light white. I'm going to use white for actually getting in there and getting the highlights. Because there's going to be a lot of highlights and stuff in a car because it's shiny, right? And anytime something's shiny, it's going to look bright. And windshields are usually dark inside the car. You can see like the dark inside the car. Gesture, gesture, gesture. Here's a guy standing there coming to the thing, and again he should be a little bit more orange because he is closer to the sun again. And he should be holding a box of donuts. There you go, holding a box of donuts. Then we've got the shadowing from the cars and from the guy. And if you look for the sun and just kind of take the sun and look which direction it'll go. Here's something beeping. And this goes, for the shadow goes across like here. And then we've got a little fence back here. I really wish I could have shown you this outside. I've been waiting for so long to show you guys all summer long. I've been trying to get out, but it's just been too hard and difficult. But I thought for sure this weekend, because I'm here for 3 days and I'm going back to Duluth, and then we'll come back here next week for the competition. So I'm getting a little bit of preview of what's new here in town. I'm gonna do a little tree here, and I'm making these leaves orange, and because it's closer to the sun again. Chunks, and then there's also the lines for these. I got two people back here too, so I'll make them like a little bit lighter. They're walking. A little dog right here. We got the shadows. Shadows of these people's shadows. Might have put in there right too. I've got it in my brush, so I might as well put it in here. Here's a little sign. There's a bookstore down here at the end that you don't see actually in the shots. There's some really dark darks in here. Like underneath the car is usually really dark with the tires, and then the shadow is darker underneath the car than it is as being thrown. These people will be the most contrasty, so I'm going to go in there now and get them a little bit more a little more contrasty. Again, like I said, I know you can't see that because it's just the lighting, but there is the sun right here, and it's a little bit darker. And it gets a little bit darker as it goes out. But even if it was just like that, if it was burnt out, that'd be okay too. Hold it box, and I'm doing it all with darks right now. Right here because it's my center of interest right here. So I'm gonna put everything dark right there and colorful too. Like I know this a little bit more red right there for the background. I'll do a little bit darker red for around the building. And the windows will be really dark. Just the window right here. Some kind of window here too. And I think their logo is just a circle and the donut in the middle, like a hole in the middle. Makes sense, right? Donut. And let's give them some blue jeans. Put blue in there. I mean, there was a line super long this morning there. It's amazing how many people get boxes of donuts. There's a guy sitting in front of the sign. And I notice I do them all in dark, but then I'll come back in with a little bit gouache and I'll put a little bit thicker right on top of that, on top of the darks. Rear here. A rigor. Man. So one of those mornings. So now let's go with my pinky. I'm going to brush it right here. I'm going to do these little lines for the lamps and stuff. Nice straight line down. Couple lines. And the banners are not up yet for the Grand Marais plein air. A lot of times they'll have street signs and stuff, or across the street they have the big banner. It's going to show over here. So this is all just shadowing. Let's get a little more of this red in the building back here because I lost all the basically lost where the trunk was when I put the trunk in. It's pretty much gone away, so that's okay because I realized I have to get a little bit darker with some of this anyways. So there's a guy right there. Make him bright red or dark. Both really dark pants, dark blue pants. Again, holding a box of donuts. And even though I'm doing a lot of going over things and stuff like that, I'm going to be putting white. And so that way I can get my lights back because it looks like it's really dark, right? Which it is, but I'm going to be putting back in some of the darks. Or the lights, I mean, I'll put them back in afterwards. Get the tree trunk back in here. And sometimes when I'm at this stage where I'm getting really dark, I just use black. Just solid black. That's a really contrasty thing to do. And so if you want it contrasty, then just use black and then put color into it if you needed a color in the black. And see why you do windows not with a round brush. You should do them with a rectangular brush. That way they stay nice and squared, the corners. If you do it with a rectangle brush or with a round brush, then you got to make the corners, and that's not always a good idea to do. There's a big poster, or this is a big mural right there. Again, I'm just making these things darker now. Going in there and just making it nice. And this is away from the shadow, right? So this is just gonna be dark. That's a nice thing. You can always come back in with darks, and those are easy to get, the darks. If you don't get your darks at first, that's fine. That's actually what you want to do, is not get your darks. Just get all your lights and come back in there with the darks. Sitting there. And this seems very light. I know because it does looks really light, but if I again put my hand here, you'll see it's a little bit darker than it looks in the screen. So I got to go with what looks good here. So it may not look great when it's finished because the lighting is not great here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush here and I am going to show you how I'm going to get these dark parts a little bit darker. Thanks, Mary Beth, for asking everybody to press the like button. Thank you. Morning, Pat. To frame this, would you need to varnish it to seal it? Yes, I would just spray with varnish. This one I wouldn't use wax because it's like not as porous, and so I would just definitely wax it or varnish this one with spray. Let's, let's get this dark in here. So this shadow now. Now let's get the shadows in again. How much time do I have? What time is it? 9:14. All right, we still got 15 minutes. That's cool. Now I'm going to go in and get my street in front here a little bit darker and get my shadowing going a little bit more here. And I'm wetting it again, but then I'm just going to, as I'm wetting it, I'm putting a lot of pigment in here. Let that blend a little bit. And see how now this is the shadowing part of this whole section right here. And then there's the light, which I can either put in with white or I can put it in with I can take it out or put it in with white paint, one or the other. This will be a quarter inch in the canvas, so I'm not going to mess around with it that much. All right, so let's go over here now, get our big brush back, and let's just make the whole foreground a little bit darker. And I'm going to paint around some of these whites too. So I'm just going to take and mess my whole palette up here with a little bit of blue, these light blues. I'm going to do purple though. Let's go more purple. Let's go lavender, purple. Yeah, this is good. It's more purple. So let me see. It's kind of thick, but still very wet. My brush is very wet, but I can go like this and get in there and get hard edges because this is all dry now. So you can get the dryness. But now that wherever I wet it now, that's going to be wet again. And so let that float. And you can also put in like colors into this wetness. You know, want to take a little bit of orange and like let that float inside the pigment. This is a big white crosswalk thing. And this is actually a curve on this side. A little bit of that purple again in here. And if you wisp it, sometimes it gets soft by itself. And like you see, I wisped it a little bit, so it just softens itself right into the canvas board. And over here, same thing. I'm gonna do a little darker and then do the little light crosswalk stuff. This is more of a oil painting trick, is where you're kind of washing across with thick paint, though it is wet, and so look at how light it gets again. Yeah, so Sunday demos with David is not so much a paint along. That's how come I don't supply the paint for the or the for the picture for that. Most of the time you can get it off the video, but I will post it down there so you can do this one if you'd like to. And you can do that with any of my videos if you want to just pick them up off the internet and stuff and get the line or the get the pictures off the scene like a monitor, then like take a screenshot of the monitor. 'Cause a lot of times I just don't have time to get all that stuff done. There's my crosswalk. There's my lighting. Get this part of the street a little bit darker. And I noticed that right here, there's a sun, so this down here should be, it's like lightening this up a little bit, and there's like, the street is not so perfect there, like, and so you're gonna get a little bit of the sunlight hitting streets that have a little different surface. Some of it's shinier, some of it's not as shiny. And so you can just kind of play with the street over here. This is still not dark enough. Maybe it is. I'm just going to get a little bit darker on the curb here. And there should be that yellow, right? The orange and yellow is on the curb. So making that thick. The curb over here is also. Let's make this curb really dark, because it's away from the light. Also, this tree will reflect into the street a little bit. Like if the street is a little wet or if it's been worn up to where it's shiny, then anything that's shiny will reflect into the street very lightly, but it will reflect in there. So I'm just putting a little bit of that color into the street to reflect it in there. This car should be a little bit darker now. Oh, got the taillights and stuff too. Let's get back to our small brush because we're almost done. How much time do we have here? Oh, I still got time. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. This is definitely not dark enough. Let's get that dark finally. Finally get that nice and dark. Let's see, that's the curve of the street. Put a little dark underneath the car too. So next Friday will be the start of Grand Marais, and I'll go the week after that. So you're going to see a lot of things that we do. All the artists that are here, they'll be showing you a bunch of work that they're doing. All right, so last but not least is my details with my small brush here, my rigger brush. Anything from getting color into the people here, and mostly the white parts, the shiny parts. But when the sun's out like this, anything that's metal will reflect shininess on. So I just put out some pure white. Gotta find a part of my palette that's not dirty. And I like to put like a little, especially right where the sun is right here. And you just put little hits that are on top of the shoulders of people, on top of their head. This is the part that maybe is hitting here a little bit. Through the legs. It just gives it a little bit of interest. Don't put them in the shadow area. Don't put white there because it's not, it's in the shadow. So that should be anything light in there. This car actually should also not, but because it's metal, I'm going to put a little bit of that on there anyways. Like the front of it is just maybe shining a little bit. Dots and everything like that. Dots, and especially on the cars, especially on the back end, they'll have a lot of white shininess on them. So the back end of it, and look how thick I'm doing this. Top of them will definitely have a light on them. The back. These windows can be, or this building can also have some shininess to it. Top of the car. This is the sun is in the sky, so definitely anything that's on top, like shoulders and top of heads, are things that are going to have all the little highlights. The windows that are on like next to it will shine. Nothing in here because that has to be out of in shadow. The street can have like a little bit here because it's just basically hitting right there. Let's get the side of that garbage can. Maybe the crosswalk can be really shiny right here. Sidewalk itself can have some shininess to it. When I say shiny, I mean that if it's shiny, anything that's shiny or metal like will always reflect like water. And then the sun, when the sun hits that, then it gets really bright. And so it's like little super light hits of light because the sun is what's giving us off the lighting. And then I'm going to put a little reflection right down from the sun. Just put it down because it reflects, it makes it really shiny. And as the street is shiny, it's going to put some of that in it. The curb side. And this then is opaque. So what does that mean? You cannot put into certain shows because it's not traditional watercolor to use white like this. You would instead have to use masking fluid first to get this look. And I think that's about it. Is that time? Yeah, 5 minutes. So I'll look at it now. Just kind of figure out what I need to still do. And this part makes it look a little bit like oils because I'm putting in thick brush strokes. So that's the gouache part that makes it look a little bit more oil painter like, oil painting like. So when I say I have a watercolor gouache, this is the part now that's like the gouache, right? Because it is very thick, the paint, and so I'm putting on thick. Now, super black for the lettering, and that'll be it. Worlds. Let's open. O-P-E-N. Donuts. Here. A couple of leaves coming off the top here. Also, you can also use, here, I'm going to put a little bit of a mural in there. I'm not sure what the mural is. Let's put a little bit of reflection lights, like the rooftop. Let's make it metal roof. Black, and this tires. Windshield is usually dark. Or reflects the sky a little bit in the windshield. It's not my best card, but allows me cut off with the frame. And this is like, that's not good. See how easy it is to take and just rub over it again? It comes right up. So if you put your hand in it like I did, that's not a good thing. Alrighty, guys. Sorry I couldn't do this outside. Sorry, this is such bad lighting on my thing here today, but at least I got to see what I would have done outside. Basically, I said it was the same thing I do outside. I had to do right in here. I work it the same way, and I look for the sunlight and the lighting. Let's see if I can show you it. Yep. Oh, there it is for a second. Yeah. Because there is color in here. It's hard to see because of the light being blasted into it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Hopefully, I get to. I probably will not be able to do a Thursday night this coming Thursday. Well, I will. Yes, I will. So look for my newsletter. Actually, got to do that tomorrow. So I'll write my newsletter. You'll see that on Tuesday, and we'll do a payload on Thursday, and then we'll next Sunday I will not be able to do a demo, and following because it's the competition time. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you.